A friend of mine and I recently attended a breakfast meeting of local businessmen in Boise, Idaho, where our superintendent of public instruction, Tom Luna, was making a presentation about Common Core. During his presentation, he explained how the new Smarter Balanced assessments, that is the tests, would be scored. He explained that the new test would be comprised of approximately 40% multiple choice, with the remaining 60% being comprised of performance-based items, which means that they were open-ended type questions that required a written response of some sort from the student, anything from a sentence or two to a full essay. As such, it's well known that these written responses must be manually scored. As Mr. Luna explained the scoring of these items, he said that in order to be fair, these items would be graded by 2 teachers instead of just 1. But in the event that these 2 teachers could not agree on a score, a 3rd teacher might be called in to break the impasse and make a final decision. Naturally, because this is an audience of business folks, one man from the audience asked the obvious question about the increased cost. After all, this manual scoring process requires having a minimum of 2 teachers score every written answer, and in business, time is money. So it just makes sense that it would cost more. Let alone that the written answers now comprise 60% of the test, or the possibility that a 3rd teacher may be needed in order to arrive at the ultimate score on 1 or more questions. Mr. Luna's response to the obvious question was puzzling. He said, actually, it will cost about the same as what we're currently paying for the ISAT, that being Idaho's previous multiple-choice computer-scored test. He reasoned that this was due to the economies of scale that we gain by working with a group of states, referring to the Smarter Balanced consortium of 26 states.
Just take some of your questions, and we can talk about what I've presented or anything you wish to discuss. But happy to take any questions about education. Yes?
You were talking about the test being harder. Is it going to be harder for the teachers to grade the test? Because sometimes you might not have just one answer. If the student can justify his answer, doesn't it still make that answer right?
Yeah.
Will that lead to more teacher burnout?
No, so let me tell you how it's scored. About 30 to 40% of the test is still multiple choices, so that'll be scored by a computer. The rest of it will be scored by teachers, but it's not done by the classroom teacher, right? It's done by other teachers. And 2 teachers will look at every answer. They'll be trained, and they'll have a matrix that they'll use in order to determine the accurate, whether it's a correct answer or not. And 2 teachers will look at it independently. If they don't agree on the score, then a 3rd teacher looks at it, and that's kind of the arbitrator. So it's done outside of a teacher's classroom responsibilities, and we will use teachers, and our goal is to use all Idaho teachers, but it will be outside the classroom. It will be something they choose to do, and they'll be compensated for it.
Higher cost?
No, actually, let me tell you why this test is not costing us anymore. Matter of fact, it's going to cost us about what we've paid for the ISAT. Here's the reason. Idaho contracted by ourselves to develop and administer the ISAT. That's why it is only multiple choice. We only have about 250,000 students that we test, so we didn't have the economy of scale. We've joined with 22 other states to form a consortium, and so now we have over 2 million students that are taking this test, and so the economy of scale, we're getting a test that is far more vibrant, interactive, a lot more tools, and we're doing it for about what we were paying for a multiple choice test, and it's because of the economy of scale. So Idaho's teachers have helped us develop this test, but so have teachers from other states, but because we've done this economy of scale, we're not going to spend any more than we've spent in the past on the test. We have an RFP out on the street right now, and so we'll nail down those costs, but our estimates are that we won't spend any more than what we've been spending on the ISAT.
We can only think, really? Economies of scale? How does that answer this question? Economies of scale could rightfully be referenced when considering the development or group purchase of the test itself, but time is still money no matter how many states are involved. Manual scoring takes individual time rather than machine time, and not for 1 teacher, but at least 2, and maybe even 3. So how is it possible then that it could cost the same as a computer-scored multiple choice test that can be automatically scored in a matter of seconds? The simple answer is, it can't. I believe our superintendent in this case is blowing just a little bit of smoke.